Hi, I'm George, the Weather Dad, and winter really showed its true colors over the last 2 weeks, but now looks like it's going to be heading back up north for the next several weeks, and that's pretty good news. Now, here's also some good news. We've already bottomed out with our lowest average high temperatures. So from here on out, the normal high temperatures are going to start inching their way up. Let me show you the warmer temperatures that will be working its way in across most of the country. First though, let's take a look at Monday, and you'll see it's still a lot of blue colors across the country, a lot of greens. Remember, the yellows here are normal high temperatures. So Monday's still going to be a fairly cool day. By Wednesday, you're starting to see all those warmer colors along the Gulf Coast of Mexico heading on into the Ohio Valley. You see some yellows right there. So temperatures are going to be getting closer to normal there by Wednesday. Still cold, though, across the Rockies and well off to the west, warming up down right along the Gulf Coast. By Friday, once again, most of the southern half of the country is going to be about normal or slightly above normal, still very cold up in the upper plains. Now, as far as temperatures are concerned, that's good news. Precipitation, though, that's where we could be seeing a problem. Remember, we've been very, very cold over the last couple of weeks, so when we start bringing in some moisture, there we could have some problems. Let me show you where the problems I think might start occurring. Here on Monday, most of the eastern half of the country in pretty good shape. Notice there, though, in the central plains and the southern plains, you see those question marks. Well, that's where temperatures, of course, have been extremely cold as well. And now as temperatures start warming up, the moisture is going to fall as rain, but the ground is still very cold. We could be looking at some icing conditions there in the Kansas, Oklahoma, and portions of Texas, Missouri, as well as Arkansas. Well, off to the west, those of you from Oregon all the way down to Florida, well, you're just going to have to settle into some very heavy rains and some mountain snows. By Tuesday, notice what happens here. A system there right around Texas starts working its way into the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Once again, we're seeing a lot of those question marks. That could be some icing. So later on Tuesday and on into Wednesday morning, we could see some very difficult travel problems across portions of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, and even portions of Kentucky. But temperatures are going to be warming up, so that's going to be short-lived. A lot of snow off to the west there in the Rockies. By Wednesday, it's going to turn windy too. So we're seeing those warmer temperatures work their way, and that's all that yellow shade that you see there. Very heavy, strong thunderstorms down in Arkansas, and there's going to be quite a bit of rain, it looks like, for the lower Mississippi Valley, Ohio valleys, and heading up on into the Northeast. In fact, there on Wednesday, we do see snow up around New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, and heading on into Maine. And it looks like even Boston, you'll be getting some as well. By Thursday, that heavy rain is in the Ohio Valley. Could even see and hear some rumbles of thunder. But rainfall amounts could approach 1 to 2 inches there by Thursday. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And notice those question marks now across the northern Michigan, portions of Wisconsin and Minnesota. So those warm temperatures are going to work their way up, meaning that the precipitation is going to fall mainly in the form of rain, but the ground, again, very cold, so we could see some icing conditions at that point. And then by Friday, most of the southeast now will be getting some pretty heavy rains, except for Florida. Looks like you're going to be sitting pretty good in some snow there for the Great Lakes. Now, that's as far as this next week is concerned. The National Weather Service goes out a little bit further, so let me show you what they're thinking as we head on into the first couple of days of February. Here, we're seeing that this map validates the 28th through February 3rd, just past Groundhog Day, and they're indicating that most of the country will be above normal as far as temperatures, near normal down around Florida. Now, keep in mind, normal highs are starting to head on up, so in the Ohio Valley, normal high temperatures now in the lower 40s. Precipitation-wise, West Coast, you will continue to get some pretty heavy rains and some mountain snows, which of course you still need, but the rest of us looks like it's going to be somewhat below normal. So overall, not a bad week coming up, though. Be careful, though. Be weather-wise on Tuesday and Wednesday morning throughout the Ohio Valley. Monday down around Arkansas and Missouri, where you could see some icing. I'm George, the Weather Dad.